Fine. Okay, we'll stop over there. Bottom line is you got to make sure that you don't work people, you don't work brias too hard. All types of brias. All right. Okay. So now.
Have a good night.
All right. Good night. All right. Now we have an action-packed daf. We shall try and get through it with all the sugis that we can, all the discussions that we could have with it. But there's a lot here, a lot in these daf. Where are we going to? Yeah, so we're up to the Mishnah, yeah?
Where from Seach?
What do you say?
Where?
Samach Aleph Amud Beis by the Mishnah. About 15 lines.
Bottom Mishnah.
10 lines off. Bottom, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so lo yivat alodmi piri v'rivya. A person should not be mevatel himself from the mitzvah of pru revu, from having children. Elim ken yesh lebanim, unless he has kids. Meaning, if you already have kids, then you could be mevatel from. Then you could stop being mekayim the mitzvah pru revu. B'shamay oimrim shnei zecharim. B'shamay says in order to be mekayim pru revu, you have to have two males. V'zol oimrim zachar and nekeva. It's a zachar and a nekeva. Shenemer zachar and nekeva baram, that Hashem created humans as male and female. So we'll see in the Gemara exactly what this is, right? So Beishamai, again, Beishamai has, at least in this version of Beishamai, it's two males. It still says female and a male. So Gemara says, Hayesh lebanim. But if that means if a person has children, Pirav Yuri Batal, it sounds like he's only Batal from Pirav Yuri, but he still has to have a wife. Right? Because it says again, he can be mevatel himself from Piri V'Rivya, but he does not. He still has to have a wife. So Masayele Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. This is a proof to Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. Damar Aval B'Sheyesh Le'Ladam Kama Banim. Even though a person has many kids, also Lamed B'Loi Isha, he's not allowed to go without a wife. Shenemer Loi Toiv Heyos Adam Levada. It is not good for a man to be by himself. Right. So that's. And why is it not good? Because of pretus. So that's one version, that a person always has to, he cannot get divorced because he finished having kids.
So lo tov hayos hadam levado, that's the mitzvah to have a wife?
Yes. Yeah. Why, you have a kash on that or something?
No, it's like a weird lashon it's a weird lashon for a mitzvah to have a wife.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you would think like there should be something much more positive to like have a wife because she's going to enhance things. No, it's just not good to be alone. So get yourself a wife. Okay, that's what you're saying.
Good
that's
for you to be alone.
Yeah,
it's like that's the mitzvah to have a wife.
Yeah, and a chanami.
So the same way for her, or isn't there some Rashi or something that she'd rather be alone?
That's a Gemara, but that's different. That's an emotional thing.
Wait, light tov is a mitzvah or a chiyuv?
Yeah, that's what I was going to.
Whatever you're going to call it, whatever, it's a chiyuv.
Right.
It's a chiyuv that it's an avera not to.
Is it an avera? Not that's. It doesn't say it's an avera. It says light tov. It says it's not good.
The opposite of not doing a chiyuv is not automatically an avera.
No, I don't think so. I don't don't know.
I'm embarrassed to ask, but if you've been mekayim the mitzvah, you have well, the Gemara is going to say later, I think, how many boys, how many girls. It doesn't. You don't have rishus to have shech vazera. Sounds like if you've been mekayim the mitzvah, then.
You talk about like it should be levatala. It should be considered levatala.
No, can one masturbate?
No, because that's Zera Levatala. That's Zera Levatala, having nothing to do with anything else. That would be Zera Levatala. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's, anyway, so it's saying light tov. So I don't know exactly how you look at this light tov. It's not good. It's not good. Oh, we'll see more on the next Amud. Actually, in the next block. Then some say the opposite. If he has kids, he's batal from Puruvu and from an Isha. Meaning, Taka, once you have kids, sort of like you're saying, Brave, that once you have kids, that's it. You're out. So Gemara says, "Name it to have it to the Rav Nachman Shmuel." Maybe that's a kashan Rav Nachman B'Shem Shmuel, who said that you have to always have a wife. So he says, "Lo, it's not. Ain't loy banim." What it means is like this: if he doesn't have kids, Naisa Isha Bas Banim, he has to marry a woman who has the possibility of having kids. Yesh loy banim. But if he has kids, Naisa Isha the La Bas Banim, then he's allowed to get married to a woman who can have kids, like we said in yesterday's daf. Right, that an islandess, theoretically, if a guy has kids already, then he can marry an islandess. What's wrong with him? Meaning, there's two reasons to have a wife. There's for pruruvu, and then there's for, let's call it companionship, or whatever it's going to be called. Right? So if you already have kids, then you can marry any woman like that. Nafkamina, the Gemara gives a different nafkamina. Nafkamina limkar sefer Torah b'shvil banim. Are you allowed to sell a sefer Torah to marry somebody? Because one of the things we had in Megillah, to sell a Sefer Torah is in order to have children, right? In order to get married to somebody who could provide children for you. Yeah? So if you don't have the money, though, then you don't sell a Sefer Torah to get married to a woman who's not going to provide you with kids, right? You only sell a Sefer Torah to marry a woman who's going to be able to have children. Fine. So now the Gemara now Beishamai Shnei Zecharim. So Beishamai says it's two males, and Beis Hillel says a male and a female. So my Tamaya to Beishamai. Why do Beishamai say two males? Yafinu mi Moshe, because they learn from Moshe Rabbeinu to see b'nei Moshe, Gershon ve'Eliezer. Moshe had two kids, Gershon and Eliezer. So and then he stopped having children. If he was not Makayim the mitzvah of Pruruvu, then why did he stop having children after having two boys? Elamai, he stopped after two boys. Must be that's two boys is the mitzvah. After that, you don't have to.
Wasn't there a reason he stopped?
Yes, we're going to say, yeah, but he wouldn't have stopped if he was not Makayim the mitzvah yet. We'll see that in a minute. And Beis Hillel learns it out from the creation of the world. That the creation of the world was Adam and Chava, Rashi says. So since the world is created, Adam and Chava, so each person has to create their own world, which is a boy and a girl. How come Beis Shammai doesn't learn out from the creation of the world? Ain't done an efshar misha'i efshar, because you don't darshan something onto Amud Aleph now. We don't darshan something that's possible to darshan from something that's impossible. Right? Meaning you can't say if Chava wasn't created, then there was no other choice of a female, right? But in Arb and Stamada, meaning you had to be created a male and a female. If there wasn't a male and a female, there would be no more children after that. So that's meaning that has to be a boy and a girl. Mashenkin, once the world is out there and there's boys and girls out there, so then you can have two boys and still be Mekayim the mitzvah.
Why didn't the Gemara just say that you can't bring a right from there? There was no such thing as the Adam and Chava were not being yotze the Indian period, you know?
They were not. But
there was no. So what does that mean? Learn from them the Indian period. There was they themselves are not a right to period. They didn't. They weren't. Who was Mekayim period when they had Adam and Chava? They were just created.
God.
No, but we're just trying to learn out.
God was Mekayim the mitzvah of period. What does that mean?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's.
No, I'm saying. So how do you?
No, but there's a being of a male and a female. So
I understand that, but it's not an Indian. What them being created was not an Indian of period.
So that's the answer. What did I say?
I'm saying if Hashem created male and female, you want to create the same thing.
His first act,
right? Right, correct. That's what I think it is. It's not. I don't think it's about Hashem being Mekayim Pruruvu. It's just Hashem created the world with a boy and a girl. So you're also supposed to try and create a world with a boy and a girl. That's the way I understood it. I don't know if I'm if I agree with you. I don't know if that's great, but okay. But that's fine. Okay. Beis Hillel nami lefim Moshe. Why doesn't Beis Hillel learn from Moshe? Amri loch Moshe midaite hu davar. Moshe did it on his own. Tanya shloisha dvarim asa Moshe midaite. Moshe did three things on his own. V'eskima daite l'das hamakam. and his das, the das hamakom in Hashem agreed with what Moshe did. Pirush min ha'isha v'shibur aluchas v'haisav yom echad. He separated from a woman, meaning from his wife. After he had his 2 boys, he stopped being together with his wife, and he broke the luchas, and he added on 1 day before Shavuos. He added on 1 day for Shavuos, right? It's mamish. It's exactly 4 weeks from Shavuos, so we have a Shavuos sugi, and then on Amud Beis we have even more of a sugi that's negeya, right? But so Mamela, when Moshe stopped having children, was not because David, like we were saying, that it's because that's the mitzvah and that's it. He stopped for other reasons, which Rashi says nobody else is allowed to do that. Nobody else is allowed to separate from their wives. Only Moshe was able to do it, and Hashem was masking him. So it's not a raya that he stopped because that was the mitzvah. He stopped because what the Gemara is about to say. So Pirush min ha'isha, my darash, what did he darshan? Amar, he said, Uma Yisrael, Shaloi Dibra Imam Shechina. Ela Lefisha, Klal Yisrael, who the Shechina only spoke to them for a little bit, by Matan Torah B'Kavalem Zman, and they were kaveh a time. Meaning they said when Hashem is going to give it by Shavuos, and Amra Torah al Tikshu al Isha, meaning Klal Yisrael was told, there's going to be, the Shechina is coming down, and they're going to give you the Torah on Shavuos. And then it said, Al Tikshu al Isha, do not touch a woman. So they were not allowed to touch a woman because they were going to be speaking to Hashem. So Anisha meyuchad the dibur, b'chol shah v'shah, me, who I'm meyuchad to speak to Hashem at any time, v'loi kavel lizman, and there's no set time, meaning Hashem could call on me whenever, alachas kama, how could it be that I could ever be with a woman? Meaning he's on call. Moshe is saying Klal Yisrael was a one-time deal, and they had to separate from their wives for 3 days, which we'll see in a minute. So me, who's on call always, 24/7, Hashem could talk to me at any time. How could I be together with a woman? So that was what Moshe said on his own. The schema daitoi l'das hamakom, and the Hashem was masking to him. Shenemar leich emer lehem shuvu lachem la'alechem. He said, go. They tell Klal Yisrael to go back to their tents. Oil meaning to their wives. You stay here with me. Meaning Moshe, don't go back. Moshe, don't go back to your wife. So that's the first thing Moshe Rabbeinu did on his own that Hashem agreed with. Shiburas haluchas, he broke the luchas, right? This is obviously after the Egel. My darash, what did he darshan? Amar Uma Pesach, shehu echad mishesh me'esh v'shalish eshrei mitzvahs. The Karban Pesach, that's only one of 613 mitzvahs. And Amra Torah, and the Torah said, Kol ben necher lo yochabai, a stranger can't eat it, right? Which means somebody who's either a guy or somebody who's not religious. Sa Torah kula, meaning now by Shavuos, where the entire, not Shavuos, by the Torah, I'm sorry, well, it happened by Shavuos, but the Torah kula, Yisrael mumrim, if you have the whole Torah was given, all 630 mitzvahs, and Klal Yisrael was mumrim because they went after the Egel, alachas kama v'kama. It has to be for sure that they're not right to get the Torah. The schema daitul l'das hamakom, and Hashem agreed with them. T'chsiv asher shibarta, the luchas that you broke. V'amar Reish Lakish, Amar le'Hakadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe. Yeah.
When did Moshe Rabbeinu break the luchas? When would they makabel the Torah? When did he break the luchas?
They were makabel the Torah. Then he went up 40 days, right?
Right.
And then he came back. He came down with the luchas, and then he broke it.
So who said they weren't keeping the Torah for 40 days? They started not keeping the Torah when the Satan fooled them. Maybe they were doing.
No, but they didn't have. They just got Kabbalah Torah. They didn't know what was in the Torah yet. The Torah was being learned by Moshe for those 40 days.
So they were doing the first 2 mitzvahs, the first 2 dibros they heard from Hashem. They were writing Pirushim on the first 2 mitzvahs. Who said they weren't learning? Who said they didn't keep that? That's all they had to keep then, if that's all they had. Why do you say that, Mamrim?
No, because of the Egel. No, because of the Egel.
Just because of the Chet HaEgel.
No, but this 40 days after.
What do you mean?
It was 40 days there. Who told you they weren't davening with their tzitzis out for 40 days? Then they got sucked in by the Satan, like all of us do all the time. No, why do you come on and call them mamrim for?
No, they were mamrim when they did the egel.
But they were keeping the Torah for 40 days.
It could be, but then they became mumrim. They became a mummer after the 40 days. They kept it. They kept the Torah for 40 days. Let's say they kept it, whatever they kept. They kept for 40 days. Then Moshe was late. So Moshe was late. They started going after the egel. Right? Moshe was doing that. Then they did the egel. So now they became apikorsim. So then Moshe said, okay, apikorsim, don't get the Torah. And they broke it.
Why didn't he break it, though? Why didn't he put it away? Like, maybe takes you to break it. Why is that a kal v'chomer?
So the Mefarshim asked that. Why did he break? Why did he?
Meaning that's not a kal v'chomer to break it. So put it away. Hashem wanted him to continue Klal Yisrael by himself.
So I forgot.
What, he thought the Torah couldn't have the Torah couldn't have the Torah anymore?
But Hashem agreed with what he did. Are we saying here that Hashem agreed with what he did?
I understand that, but there's a thought process involved with why he did it. Hashem agreed with the thought process. My question is did he hold at that time that the world should not have the Torah? Because that's what it seems like he's saying. Or if it's only Klal Yisrael, so don't break it. Keep it for yourself. He wasn't part of that.
No, see, I forgot what they asked. Why he didn't? They answered. They haven't answered the question why he didn't break it. But whatever it is, that's. I'm sorry. Why didn't you put it away?
What the sense of difference?
The Medrash says
the luchas. The
luchas got too heavy and it fell.
Right, there was floating, and then when the Shekhinah left from the ego, he couldn't hold it, and they snapped.
The Gemara here says that he made a conscious decision to break it. That was his das. What does that mean? You want to say different measures, it's fine, but the Gemara here says it was his das that made it break. It doesn't say that Hashem caused it to break.
They don't have to agree.
I agree. The Gemara here does not agree.
I'm just letting you know. I was reminding you from last night.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. I don't know exactly. When the Olam learns the Shavuos sugyas, they'll. I guess now's the time to learn the Shavuos sugyas.
We already learned the Shavuos.
Now then, when? Yeah. No, I'm saying this. Yeah, exactly what happened there. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. V'amar Reish Lakish with Peretz. This is one of his favorite lines in Gemara. V'amar Reish Lakish. Amar Lei HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe yiyasher koichacha sheshivata. Right. It's not. That's right. Yeah. It's right. Yasher koich. Right. Yeah. That's what they say in Peretz Shul. Yiyasher koich. Right.
No, we need Yerm.
But there was no more Peretz Shul.
This week
we restarted. We restarted.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Peretz has a shul.
Ferris, base Bubby.
Why should he be the only Stein brother not to have a shul in Far Rockaway? What's wrong with him?
Just me, Dominic
I have it for one reason.
No pork picnic.
I have it for the resume. Has his own shul.
You can close it down now. The shidduch can't happen.
I gotta wait till after the chasana.
What do you put in the resume where he done?
I don't know what he did. Anyways, okay, bye. So that's the second thing. The third thing is he added on one day. So really, from the Torah, they were supposed to add on, stay 2 days that people had to separate from their wives before Matan Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu added on the third day. My Darish, what did he dashin? It says you should make yourselves holy today and tomorrow, which means Hayom today is kemachar, like tomorrow. Ma machar le'lo'ima, just like tomorrow, meaning the night goes with it, as we know, right? There's always, and when you say a day, it means the day and the night before. Af Hayom le'lo'ima. So to today you have the day and the night. This was told to Moshe at night. So he's saying that night already is gone. So it must be Hashem told us to separate a day and the night before, but not including the day we're in, which means another 2 full days after this day is over. So that added on a day. Shema Mino.
That's obviously not what he meant.
That's not what Hashem meant.
Right.
And that's not what Hashem meant. Moshe Rabbeinu felt for whatever reason Klal Yisrael needs to separate another day, and Hashem was masking. So Shema Mino Trei Yom Levarmi. So there's 2 days besides for now.
So this is where it started with doing things, but it didn't mean.
The skin, well, what's the skimu daita l'das hamakom, and his das, where the Hashem was masking to it, the Loishar Yeshchina ad Shabsa, because the Shechina did not come onto Har Sinai until Shabbos, right? So again, with all these things, you have to try and figure out, well, what did Hashem really, was Moshe Rabbeinu smarter than Hashem? Right? I mean, if Hashem wanted him to separate for 3 days, he should have separated for 3 days, not 2 days. Right? So
he did the same thing by the Kal V'chomer and by Miriam, no?
He did the same thing.
I'm saying they darshan the Kal V'chomer over there. Gabi, how much of Mitzad Tzaras and how long they waited. When Miriam got Tzaras. I'm saying he darshan the Kal V'chomer. I'm saying same idea. Hashem didn't tell him that. He darshan the Kal V'chomer.
Yeah. I don't know. That's true.
I still don't see how this is a vart to say over by Shabbat Brachos or an offer yet. So I'm still waiting.
Wait.
No, parents, we're not holding.
We're not up to the Shabbat Brachos yet. It should be short of Mitzlachos, but you're not holding by Shabbat Brachos.
I know. Yaakov said this is the next. He said the next few blot is going to have Vertluchnu. So this
yes, but we're not up to it yet, parents.
Okay, I'm still waiting.
We're 20 lines in.
Parents, don't say this Torah over, all right? Don't say this, okay? Fine. But however, you see from here that Hashem is masking to what Bezdin or the Gedolim decide on this world, Hashem could be masking to, even though it's clearly was the intention. From the Psukim, it was not the intention, right? Okay, the Mefarshim go through.
Bezdin or Moshe Rabbeinu?
Well, here it's Moshe Rabbeinu, but every dar.
Moshe Rabbeinu was the Rabbeinu should come talk to him anytime.
He still is not the Rabbeinu Shalom.
I understand, but in every dar you don't have somebody like Moshe Rabbeinu.
What did you say?
You don't know that. Every dar has to decide halachas for their dar, right?
But the Rabbeinu Shalom would be masking too.
Yes, that's what Torah Leiba Shemayim. Torah's Leiba Shemayim.
Why is this different? Why is this different than any D'Rabbanan? Every D'Rabbanan is a gather.
And a Chanami,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he pushed off Matan Torah by a day. He pushed off Matan Torah by a day.
We pushed off Shofar and Rosh Hashanah. I mean, there's a lot of D'Rabbanans there.
He changed the Mitzvahs.
Hashem planned on giving the Torah on a certain day. And Moshe said, no, we're going to push it off a day, right? That's essentially what Moshe did, right?
So Yaakov, isn't there a Gemara that says that the Hashem was arguing in Shemayim, Lagabi Adin of Tameh and Tar, and he passed in Tameh, and then and down in the earth they passed in Tar.
Isn't that in the story with Rabbi Eliezer when he passed? It's not over there.
Is it the same story? I forgot.
Yeah,
I thought it was the story. And then no, I'm saying for Karen that Hashem, they didn't pass in like Hashem. They passed in differently than Hashem. Not realize a different Gemara.
Yeah, they don't. They pass in. No, yeah, we don't pass in like that's what we said. Torah is Leiba Shemayim. Until Zoom. Now Torah is Shemayim. Yeah, and the cloud at least. Right. Okay, so Tanya.
There's a lot of non-Torah in the cloud also.
Doesn't it change the whole thing when there was an Ananim over Har Sinai with the clouds? Now it makes a whole different shot. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Tanya now, so that's it. Now we go back to the Pru Rav Sugi. So Tanya Rav Nassan and Rav Shammai Shnei Zecharim with Shtei Nekevas. Rav Nassan learned the Beis Shammai said it's either 2 males, right? I'm sorry, not either 2 males and 2 female, meaning you need 2 of each. But Beis Hillel Zachar and Nekeva needs to be 1 Zachar, 1 Nekeva. So Rav Huna, my time of the Rav Nassan, I'll leave it to the Beis Shammai. Where does Rav Nassan get, according to Beis Shammai, you need 2 of each? Meaning after the whole Ma'aseh with Cain and Hevel, right? So it says that Chava had as not after the Ma'aseh, as Achav es Hevel v'achaisai, Cain v'achaisai. So what he had was Hevel and the sister, and Cain and a sister, meaning each one of them was born with a girl, with a twin sister. Uksiv, ki shasli elakim zera acher tachas Hevel ki harag Cain. And then it says, and then Hashem gave me another kid, right, from Hevel, because Cain killed Hevel, right? So meaning there needs to be, it sounds like the way the Gemara is understanding it, it seems like from what Chava is saying is that there needed to be a replacement. Once Cain killed Hevel, there needed to be a replacement. So therefore, since he always needed a replacement, so that means that there always had to be 2 boys and 2 girls.
So the mitzvah is not 2 boys and 2 girls. It's to always have 2 boys and 2 girls.
Correct. So that means that that's the mitzvah to have in the world, is to have 2 boys and 2 girls. So each person has to do that.
But and then if one of them is nifter, so then your mitzvah goes back and you have to have another one?
So that's the next sugi. We'll get to that soon. That's on the bottom of it. We'll get to that. Yeah. Fine. Yeah, it's mashma like that for Rabbanon. What about the Rabbanon?
Does it discuss the shita about they should have kids as well?
Who?
That some people hold that they have to have kids as well.
Who's they? The kid.
It's the next stomach.
Next stomach. Yeah. Okay, we'll get to the next stomach. Yeah. For Rabbanon. What are they going to say? Rabbanon adu yehu de kamaydis. She's just thanking Hashem that she had another kid. So one kid was nifter. She's thanking Hashem that she was granted with another child. Not that there was a requirement to have another child, just that Hashem gave her another child. Tanya Idach, we're going to a different price. That Beishamai says it's a Zachar and a Nekeva. So my time with Rav Nassan Aliba de Beis Hillel. Why does Rav Nassan say according to Beis Hillel it's one or the other? You shouldn't. The world should not sit empty. It was created for people to occupy it. And he did Sheves, right? By having a boy or a girl means he put people in the world. So that's what the world is there for.
And what is Sheves going to mean?
What Sheves means to occupy the world. Sheves means from the word.
So what does it mean by occupy? How many? What is it?
One. He's saying the minimum is one person. You got to provide one person.
It's Yaakov. Is there a nafkamina whether this? I thought Leisayu was for even for goyim. Is there, according to the shita that we're using that pasuk for that? Is that different Lagabi Klal Yisrael?
No, I think it would be saying that too.
Is there's no? What about the pasuk up here in Arabia?
No,
but they're 2 different ideas.
No, I don't know. It's 2 different ideas, right? I think it's one idea. They're using one pasuk to learn out the other pasuk, exactly what Pruruvu is. Yeah.
Is it 2 mitzvahs or 1 mitzvah? Is it period of radio and filling the world?
Right, that's what I was asking.
Or is it 1? That's okay.
I think the mitzvah is Pruruvu, and we're using the pasuk of Loisai Bara to explain to us what the requirements of Pruruvu are.
No, well, Sheves means you have to have more.
No.
If one of the child not there, then you have to have more, right?
No, we're just. What do you mean? That's the next sugya. That's the next sugya. We're just saying that the minimum is you have to occupy the world. So you're occupying the world by putting a boy or a girl, right? Okay, so let's see the next sugya. Next sugya is a very lumdish sugya. Itmar, we learned how you like banim. Let's say a guy had kids and then he became a ger. So was he Mekayim Pruruvu? Rav Yochanan Amar Kayim Pruruvu. He was Mekayim Pruruvu. But Shalkash Amar Loi Kayim Pruruvu. He was not Mekayim Pruruvu. Now there's a machlokes.
He had goyim.
He had goyim, and then the
kids became gerim also.
So that's a machlokes rishonim. Does it have to be that the kids become gerim with him or not? Tosfos, which Tosfos is it? Yeah, so Tosfos Rav Yochanan says that the kids have to. Yeah, but
they're not related. They're not nothing.
What are you saying?
They're not related. They're nothing. What has them to do is like animals.
That could very well be, but that's a machlokes rishonim. Whether that's whether we say that. Yeah, so that's a machlokes whether you say that. Now the stam the lumdus is how can you Rabbi Yochanan say he's Mekayim Pruruvu if the mitzvah was done before he was a yid?
A goyim Mekayim Pruruvu?
Oh, there's no chiv. There's no chiv of the goyim.
Good. So then how's he getting the mitzvah?
No, right. I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So Rabbi Kiva Eger here, right? Gillian Shas brings the Turei Evans kasha. It's a major sugya here of how.
Well, what's the kasha? Tasa v'leiman asi.
Not Tasav Elohim also. I guess that's
how
a way
are
of saying it.
There's no chiyuv.
The mitzvah was done before he was a yid.
Yeah, the mitzvah is that there should be a teitzah. There are teitzahs.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
So automatically, when he became a yid, he had a mitzvah.
What is the teitzah? The kid, the what they had before is like an animal.
So what? They're human beings.
What? Okay.
That's the other machlokes. That's the other machlokes. But they want to bring.
Zirmas Susim Zirmasam?
No. But how can you be Makayim the mitzvah? That's a Turi Evans kasha. How can you be Makayim the mitzvah before you even chayiv in the mitzvah?
There's a mitzvah v'oisa, so it's not the same madrega, but it's a mitzvah. So.
Well, no, yeah. It's the antonym of a mamzer, the exact opposite. The mamzer, the teitzah. How could the teitzah be usher? He didn't do anything wrong. Whatever the answer is to that, it's the same idea.
How could you say to be Mekayim Pru if there's no chiv?
What is the chiv of Pru?
To fill the world with for Yid, to fill the world with Yiddish kinder.
Is he a Yid? Who said Yiddish kinder? Who said that?
Pru is a chiv for the Yid, not for the goy.
Even without
whoa.
Whatever. It's
if he has two kids with a gaita, is he Yaitza?
No.
What's that?
Why not?
No, you're Yaitza. You have a mamzer, you're Yaitza. If you have a mamzer,
Jew, but not a goy.
A mamzer, you're Yaitza Pru.
A mamzer Jew because he can marry another Jew.
No, he can't.
No, he can't.
I'm not mamzeres. What are you talking about?
But they can't come to part of Klal Yisrael. Okay, whatever it is, it's a big sugya. But
wait a minute, and you could clean out a mamzer after 3 generations. It's not true.
How do you do that?
Once again, man, I got no vertluch out of this. We got to move on, man. I can't discuss this.
Let me just say some zushtelz.
I'm with you, Parrot.
Let's say one of the zushtelz that they want to say. Yeah, that a kid in Sfira, a bacher becomes bar mitzvah. I hate the sound. This is for your bar mitzvah speech, Parrot. Right? You become a bar mitzvah middle of Sfira. Right? So if you hold that you have to do the whole Sfira, so if he's counting for before he's a bar mitzvah, right? So from here you could bring a raya that he could still continue counting with a bracha, because you see the guy had children before he was a yid, and now he's a yid, and we consider that he was yaitza. So the same thing with that, right? Okay, whatever. There's a lot of hak. If anybody wants, it's out there. Fine. Anyway, so that's a machlokes in Rav Yochanan. Rav Yochanan holds he is Mekayim Pru.
Zev, how did Avram Avinu have like 40 kids that were Arabs?
Okay, that's but Kodem Matan Torah. Okay, Rav Yochanan.
All his kids were Arabs.
Well, let's see how it goes. Rav Yochanan Mekayim Pru Yurav Dahavale because he had kids. Rish Lakish Amar Lo Kayim Pru Yurav, he was not Mekayim. Why? Because Gershon is guy Katan Shanayla Dami. A ger who became a ger is like a katan shenoilin, and whatever he did before was meaningless. Right? So then the shaila is how you learn this machlokes, because Rabbi Yochanan I think agrees with the concept of gershon iskaya, katan shenoilin dam. Fine. And they both go according to their shitas. Somebody who had kids, and then he became when he was a guy, and then he became a ger. Rabbi Yochanan there's no bechar for his inheritance. The Havale Rashis, I know, because he already had his first kid when he was not a Yid. So the first kid he has when he becomes Jewish is not considered his kid. I mean, it's considered his kid, but it's not considered his Bechar. Because he does have a Bechar. Since he's considered a new entity, so the first son that he has is going to be considered his Bechar. So it's basically the same machlokes, right? According to Rabbi Yochanan, who says that he was Mekayim Pru Ravu, so we look at the son that he had when he wasn't Jewish as an actual son, so therefore the first son he has when he's Jewish is not going to be considered a Bechar. And Reish Lakish says, no, it is considered a Bechar because the kids he had before are not considered his kids. V'tzricha, and then you need both cases. Meaning, why do we need 2 cases to tell us each one of their shitas? One should be enough. If you're going to say the one of Pru Ravu, Bahi Kamaisa, if you're going to say the first case, but Pru Bahi Kam Rabbi Yochanan there. Rabbi Yochanan said his din Misham Dimi Karanami B'nei Peri, because really the Goyim they were part of the mitzvah Pru Ravu. but they're not. They don't have any inheritance to each other. You would think maybe Rav Yochanan would be Ma'od the Reish Lakish. All right, maybe here by the Bechor. That's what Reish Lakish said that he's considered a Bechor but by the case of Pruvu, maybe he would agree to Rav Yochanan that he would be Mekayim Pruvu. So you need both cases, right? So that's another tumult over here, that because Rashi says by Yomer Lehem Pruvu. So from Rashi, the way Rashi understands this one, it sounds like Goyim are mechuyev. I don't know mechuyev, but they get the mitzvah of Pruvu. Okay, so that's also a big sugya if that's even necessarily the way we go. Fine. Eisa Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish. So Rav Yochanan has the kasha Reish Lakish. Be'eisa he shalach Beroidach Beladan ben Beladan Melech Bavel. Right. So Beladan, the son of Beladan, the Melech Bavel sent to Chizkiah all sorts of things. Right. So what do you see? You're calling him Ben Beladan. So you see that there is such a thing as yichus to a guy. Right. So you see that there's such a thing. So therefore it should not be a bechor, right? Rabbi Yochanan is asking Reish Lakish, he already had a child, so and it's connected to him, so it shouldn't be a bechor. So Amrulay, meaning the first one when he's Jewish shouldn't be a bechor because he already had a kid. So Amrulay, when they're still goyim, there's a yichus to each other, meaning a guy with his goyish kid does have yichus to it, right? Niskayru less luchayis, but once the father becomes a ger, then he loses his yichus with his son. That's what Reish Lakish is going to say. So therefore, his first son that he has after he becomes a ger, he will be considered a bechor. Okay. Amar Rav, hakol maidin be'eved she'ein luchayis. Everybody's maidin and an eved has no yichus, right? Eved Kanani, right? And you have Eved Kanani who has kids. And then he becomes Jewish. Even Reb Yochanan is ma'ida that he has to still have more kids, and the kids that he had when he was an Eved are not considered his kids for Pruruvu. Why? Stand here with the Chamor. That's by the Akedah, right? So we darshan Am Hadom Chamor, that you're a nation that's similar to a Chamor, right? Which is the Canaanim are compared to a Chamor, so therefore they're not considered humans at all. But that's only by Avodim. Not going to say that by Goyim. Fine. So Meisvei, they asked the Kasha Uletziva Chamisha Asabanav Esam Avodim Tziva. Right. So she was a slave from Shaul, and she had 15. It says she had 15 sons and 20 slaves. Right. So you see sons, they're considered sons, even though it's for slaves. Yaakov Kapar ben Bakar. It doesn't mean that it was really a son. Whenever we use the pasuk in the Kachim, in Musa, we say Par ben Bakar, right? Not or whatever in the lanings, right? We say a par and it's the son of a Bakar. What does that mean? Does that mean that there's really yichus between a mother and a son in par? No, we just call it that it's a par ben. So the same thing here. If that's so hachanami. So then by the pasuk of Beladan ben Beladan, maybe that's also didn't mean that they're considered their kids. It's just that's the way you talk. No, so Shahani Hasam, there is different. It could have just said Ben, whatever, the son of his father, but since it used actual names, so therefore it's showing you that there's actual yichus. But here by Ziva, it did not say what's it called. It did not say any of the names. It just said 15, what do you call it? And 15 boys and 20 of them. So but Tziva, it didn't say names, so therefore it doesn't mean a real yichus. Biba is saying, or you can say a different pshat. In other places in the Torah, there are places where we call Goyim father ben a father. Hamelech Asa El ben Hadad ben Tavarian ben Chizyon Melech Aram Hayoshe b'Damasek Lema. Right, so you see that there are goyim that are referred to by the father. So that's another raya that you see that there can be yichus to goyim when they're still goyim. Fine. Okay, so that's that sugya. Bottom line is it's a machlokes whether a guy who then becomes a ger, if he has to be Mekayim Pru Revu again. But by Avodim, everybody agrees that he has to be Mekayim Pru Revu. Fine. So Itmar, Hayuloi Banam Mesa, right? The major sugya. If he had kids and then they died, is he Yaitze Pru Revu or not? So Rav Huna Amar Kayim Pru Revu, he was Mekayim. Rav Yochanan Amar, Rav Yochanan says Loi Kayim, he was not Mekayim Pru Revu. Rav Huna Amar Kayim, Mishum de Rav Asi. The Amar of Asi, Ein Ben David Ba, Ben David doesn't come until all the neshamas that are in Guf. Guf is the name of the place where all the neshamas stay. So all the neshamas have to leave there in order for Mashiach to come. So you accomplish that by having a child. If somebody has a child, even when the child dies, it came out. So Mamela, it's fine. Because there's a ruach that's going to come out from all the neshamas that happen. I think Tosfos in Avodah Zarah, says that even miscarriages, even a woman has a miscarriage, helps for Mashiach to come. This is the way you mechazik somebody who we try to at least, that has a miscarriage. You say it was not for naught. The pregnancy was not for naught, and the miscarriage not for naught, because that's in the neshama.
Is that why they light a candle, some people?
What, for a miscarriage?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know, but that's if at least it was 40-day pregnancy, then there's a neshama, and then memela there is an accomplishment, meaning it's not for naught. Either way, so he's learning that once you have the child, so then you're already participating. This is why Reb Chaim Kanievsky wrote. I read this from after he was nifter. He was very Isaac in Shidduchim because he felt, and he had no phone. It's not easy to be Isaac in Shidduchim when you don't own a phone. Right? You got to schlep across Bnei Brak to tell the guy that the girl said yes. You know what I mean? No, that's what the stories were. Like he schlepped across town, and he said because we got to get Mashiach to come, and unless we Mashada Shidduchim that people have kids, it's not Mashiach's not going to come. Anyways, Rav Yochanan disagrees. Amar Loi Kiyim Piravu, he was not Mekayim Piravu if the kids die because L'Shevas Yitzara Be'inon. Like we said before, the main thing of having kids is to populate the world. For Halakon, you don't have it. Fine. So Meisvei, so
they bring down that Rabbi Yochanan himself lost all his kids.
Right, that's the story.
He's saying about himself, he wasn't yaitze anything.
Yeah. That's
you yaitze them, you lose it. But something you didn't do.
You have to leave the world. We're going to see now in the next sugya. Yes, it's a good question. I mean, do you have a mitzvah and then it gets taken away from you?
Rabbi Yochanan lost all his kids before they had kids.
We said you get the mitzvah even if you weren't in the mitzvah.
He lost 10 and one survived, right?
I don't know if one or more. He lost 10 of his sons. Doesn't say anything about survivors.
He used to go around. He used to go around with a part of the bone.
Right, with the bone. He went around with the bone.
That was his last kid he carried. That was the last kid, I thought.
Beard that theory, I think the watching is.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever it is. So fine. So let's say this. So again, it's a machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Yochanan. Rav Yochanan says Yinam Mekayim Pru Revu. Rav Huna says yes. So Meisvei on Talmud Beis now. Bnei Bonim Harei Hein Kebanim. Right. So grandchildren are like children. Now, so what are we learning out from this? So it's not so. These next few lines are not easy Gemaras. I mean, I don't want to scare the oilam, but Rashi basically says that what we're thinking now is that a person loses his son or his daughter, right? Then, but he has grandchildren. So what's gonna happen is, so now you have 3 generations. You have the father, I guess it's called the grandfather. Then he loses a child, and then, but he has other children, and then he had that the child that died had a child. So there's a connection there for all 3 generations, right? So it says Bnei Bonim Hareim Kebanim. So therefore, that grandchildren, you need grandchildren, meaning if you're going to lose a child, you still need a grandchild in order to be Mekayim, the Pru Revu. If that child did not have children, it sounds like it's not going to be considered that Mekayim Pru Revu. So the answer is Kitanya hi lahashlam. No, that's to be mashlim the children, meaning for the grandfather. If the grandfather has, let's say, one kid, and that one kid has a son, let's say, and that's it. He has one son, and then that one son has a girl. So then that will be mashlim that he has a boy and a girl. Yeah, so that's the way they understand it. It's a mace that he has the kasha b'nei bonim areim kibonim, right? Grandchildren are like children. Mace echan mehem. If one of the children dies, Aishanim to sris, or one of the kids becomes a sris, meaning that they can't have kids, like Kayim Piriv Yerivya, and you're not Makayim Pru Ravu. That's mamash like Rabbi Yochanan. To Yufta the Rav Huna, so it's a kasha on Rav Huna. To Yufta, yes, so we slug up Rav Huna, and therefore we go with Rav Yochanan that you have to leave over people that are living, either children or grandchildren, in order to be Makayim Pru Ravu. Fine. Then the Gemara says, "Bnei banim hareim kavanim." Right. So grandchildren are like children. Savar Abaye l'meimar. Abaye thought to say, "Bra lebra." That means a grandson takes the place of a son. Ubarta lebarta, and a granddaughter takes the place of a granddaughter. Because she came bra.
So by having one kid, if he has.
Correct. That's what he was saying. Yeah. So kol shekain bra lebarta. There would be a kol shekain that a grandson, meaning from the daughter, also works. Ava barta lebra loy, but a granddaughter cannot take the place of a son. Okay, so that's what Abaye thought to say, meaning because we saw according to Beis Shammai that you have to, if you have a boy only, so a boy has more of a chashivas than a girl, so whatever that means. But if your guy has a daughter, and then that daughter has a son, so Abaye is thinking that that's not strong enough to be Mekayim Pru Ravu. That's what he thought. Amalei Rava l'sheves yitzara. What you need is l'sheves yitzara, like we said, to fill the world with people. Va'ika, you had it. You filled the world with a son or a daughter and a grandson, right? So the granddaughter and grandson, whichever the combination is, as long as you're leaving the world with a son and a female and a male, so then the granddaughter will count for a son who died, right? Fine. The kuli amamiyas trei mechad loy, but everybody holds that 2 from 1, that doesn't work. So meaning you have one kid who has 2. You have one son, let's say, who has 2 children, and then you had a daughter. The person had a daughter, and the daughter died. So the 2 from 1 was saying doesn't work. That's what Gemara thinks. It was a veloy, and it's not going to work. Rabbanan told Rav Sheshes, and now this next Gemara is so difficult to understand. It's mamish. I mean, yeah, okay, we'll say it, but I have no idea what the pshat in this Gemara is. So anyway, I mean, we have to say it. But Nasiv Itzav Oilid B'ni, take a wife and have kids, right? So, meaning he didn't have enough kids, Rav Sheshes. So they said, go get married and have kids. V'amar lahu, b'ni barti b'nayninu. The sons of my daughter are my sons. Meaning he only had a girl, Rav Sheshes. So they said, go get married and get yourself a boy. Have some boys. So he said, no, my daughter's sons are going to be my kids. So you see that you could have you could be Mekayim, a boy and a girl, through one child, according to Rav Sheshes. So the Gemara answers no. Hasam Tchuyi Kamat Chilu. Rav Sheshes was pushing them off, meaning the problem was that Rav Sheshes couldn't have kids. He was a sris, right? Why? The Rav Sheshes, the Akami Pirkei the Rav Huna, Rav Sheshes became a sris because of Rav Huna's shiurim, yeah, which we're going to see in 2 blot from now, Bez Hashem, that Rav Huna gave shir for so long that Rav Sheshes had to what? Yeah. So, but the Rav Sheshes Rav Huna gave shir for so long that they needed to go to the bathroom. It wasn't only Rav Sheshes; the whole list on 2 blot from now of Amoraim who were not able to have kids because of the length of Rav Huna's shir. Because by holding in from going to the bathroom, they ended up messing up their internal organs, and Mamela they couldn't have kids. I have no idea what the pshat in that Gemara is. Okay, so some say, how did they do it? It's over on Baal Teshaksu. So some say that they lost it. It wasn't done on purpose. They just got so involved in the shear that they tuned everything else out, and then they ended up being damaged from it. Right. So, but the bottom line is the Gemara is saying that Rav Sheshes didn't mean that you're really going to be Mekayim Pru Ravu. He was just pushing them off because there was no point in him getting married anyways because he couldn't have kids. So he told them, yeah, I'm going to have grandchildren, a boy and a girl. But really that doesn't work.
But he did have one kid.
He had one kid, but we're trying to say that if that one kid has two kids, a boy and a girl, that you're not yotze from that. You have to have two kids. That's what the Gemara thought, and they thought they'll shrug it up from Rav Sheshes, but no, Rav Sheshes was just pushing them off. Somebody Rabba Bar Mari Menaha Milsa Dam Rabbanon. How did the Rabbanon know that Bnei Banim Areim Kebanim? How did they talk to know that the grandchildren are considered like kids? Now the Gemara's question here is not that the son's kids are. Rashi says it's going on the kids of the daughter. The Ben Benoi, it's Pashat. Your son's sons are considered like your sons. That's not an issue. The issue is the son's daughters, are they considered like, the daughter's sons, are they considered like grandchildren? Right? So, if you're going to say, right, your daughters are mine. This is Lavan, right, talking to Yaakov about the Shvatim. So he says, the daughters are my daughters, and the sons are my sons. So Elamayaf, that's true, meaning because he's the grandfather, right, it's his daughter's kids. So Elamayaf, when he said that the sheep are mine, Hachanami, does that mean also that they're really his? Ella, the Kanas Minai, what he meant is that you bought the sheep from me, Hachanami, the Kanas Minai. So that also means that you got from me, the children came from me because you bought my daughters from me. So that can't be. Elamei Hacha. From here, Va'achar ba Chetzrein al Beis Machir Avi Gilad V'Teilad Lo Yeskuv. Right, Chetzrein was together with the Bas Mechir Avi Gilad, and then she gave birth as Sagov. Uksiv Mani Machir Yardu Mechaykikim. From Machir went out. Chaykik means to rabbis or whatever it is, people that did halacha. Uksiv Yehuda Mechaykika. Yehuda's Memchaykika. So you see that it only went through the daughter, right? Because Machir is real from Menashe. So is it Yehuda or is it Menashe? It's the only way that it can work, that they came from that it was from Menashe with Yehuda, is that if you're calculating coming through the mother's family, that it's considered like the mother's kids. Okay, so that's how we know Bnei Banim Hareim Kebanim. Fine. Masnisin, the lav Karev Yeshua. Now this mamish, you can't make up this Gemara that we're doing this Gemara during Sfira. Yeah. So Masnisin, the lav Karev Yeshua, our Mishnah is not like Rav Yeshua. Why? The Tani Rav Yeshua, Aimer Nasa Adam Isha Biyal Dusai. A person should get married when he's young, right? And then if she passes away, you see Isha B'Zaknusa, he should get married to a woman when he's older. And if a person has kids when he's young, he should have kids when he's older too. Why? Shenemar Babaykir Zra Esarecha V'La'erav Al Tanach Yedecha Ki Eincha Yedea Eze Yichshar Hazeh Oizeh V'Mshneim Ke'echad Tovim. Right? And this is where we learn out that there's a mitzvah d'Rabbanon to have more kids. Even if you're Makayim, let's say you have two boys, two girls, one boy, one, whichever the shittas are, there's a mitzvah d'Rabbanon from this pasuk of Erev al Tanach Yidech, in the evening, don't rest, to have more kids. Right? Now, what's the share of how many more kids you're supposed to have? That is unclear. There is no clear gather for how many more kids you're supposed to have. But you're supposed to have more children. But either way, and the reason is because how do you know which kid is going to be the good kid and which kid's not going to be the good kid? How do you know the kids are going to survive? Right? So therefore, you should have more children.
Yeah. It's Yaakov, with the Xera that we have, if your wife's still alive, you can't do that.
What do you mean?
I'm saying the Xera that we have, that you should only marry one woman. Rabbi Yeshua's Shita would only work. I mean, it's very possible it would only work in a scenario. I mean, nowadays, that would only work if your wife dies early.
What do you mean? Why? What's the difference if it's one wife? I don't understand.
Nowadays, you can't go ahead and marry a second wife. I'm saying we don't.
No, but we're talking about where she died.
Oh, I thought we were stop saying even if she didn't die.
No, we're saying no, she died.
Is it only if she died? Why can't you take a second wife?
You're saying to marry a younger woman that could have more kids.
Yeah, it's mashma that you should always be having kids because you don't know which ones are going to be the straight ones.
It seems like no. If she dies, then you have to.
Why are we assuming that? Back then, they married multiple women.
What?
Why are we assuming it's only if she dies? Back then, you can marry multiple women.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know why. That's just.
I mean, rove children don't die early.
I'm not talking about the children. Look at the wife.
No, but I'm saying, rove children are going to. We don't know if they're going to live. I mean, rove children.
That's not what the Gemara says. The Gemara says you don't know which ones are going to be the good ones. You should keep having children.
Yeah, but
what does the good ones mean? What does the good ones mean?
Yashar means they keep the Torah.
Yes. So okay, it's a little unclear exactly what he means. But the point is that there is a mitzvah to have more kids because you don't know what's going to be. Which when I have my conversations with guys about whether they should have more kids or not, so this is part of the conversation, which is like, so you don't want more kids because it's a headache and tuition and this and that. That kid can go have more kids, and this can be like a gift that keeps giving for hundreds and hundreds of years, and you don't want to have more kids because it's a shtickle headache now. You know what I mean? I'm not that whatever. That's sort of what that's what he's saying. How do you know what's going to be with your other kids? You want to invest now. You don't have too long a life, right? That's fine. Rabbi Kiva says, Lama Torah b'yaldusai, learn when you're young. Yilma Torah b'zaknusai, you should also learn Torah when he's old. Hayuloi talmidim b'yaldusai, even if you had talmidim when you were young, Yiloi talmidim b'zaknusai, you should have talmidim when you're old. Shenever v'ikar zarachas are the same pasuk. Fine. Amru, they said, right? Shnayim asar elef zugim talmidim hayuloi Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva had 12,000 pairs of talmidim. Migavas ad Antipars. From that, those are the names of the two cities that he had 24,000 talmidim. So Gemara obviously is saying when we're used to calling it 24,000 talmidim, Rabbi Kiva. Here it says it was 12,000 pairs. Bekulan meisu b'perek echad, and they all died at one time. Because they were not noyeg covered with each other. Sounds familiar? Yeah. And the world was shamim, was destroyed because there were no gedolim anymore. Until Rabbi Kiva came to the Rebbeim in the south and taught them. Who were they? Rameh, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. And they're the ones that they reestablished the Torah at that time. All right, so Tana. Kulam Mesim with Pesach Atzeres. When did they die? They died from Pesach till Shavuos. As we know, we have the machlokes. How many days did they die? Was it 33? Was it 34? Which parts did they die in the days where there's no tachnon? Okay, those are all the machlokes and what the Gemara means. Amar Rav Chava bar Abba v'Yitem Rav Chia bar Avin. Kulam Mesim Misara. They all died a very bad death. Maihi. What's the bad death? Amar Rav Nachman Askara. So askara is like when the throat expands and it's like choking. Yeah. So okay, so that's the sugya here from Rabbi Kiva, right? It's in middle of Sfiro, so we learned this sugya. So what's interesting is that it doesn't say anywhere that they established Avelus because of this. A fascinating thing. Wouldn't you think it would say that they established no listening to music, no chasanas, no haircuts? No, it doesn't say anything. When exactly did it start? I have no idea. From what I understand, I was listening with Rabbi Razner and said it started from the Ga'ainim, which is way, way later. I looked at the Torah. The Torah doesn't say. The Torah says a minig. Because of this, we keep it. I don't know. I don't know. What? No, that has no connection to this.
What's the name of the Talmidim?
What? No.
Is Reb Shimon Reb Shimon Bar Yochai?
No. Is Reb Shimon Reb Yochai?
Yeah.
I thought he was one of the Talmidim.
Yeah. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is the Talmud of Kiva.
Yeah, but is this Reb Shimon or Shimon Bar Yochai?
Yeah, Stam Reb Shimon is Reb Shimon Bar Yochai.
But there's more Talmidim, no?
He's one of the 5 Talmidim that were left.
He's one of the 5.
No, but there's more. No, besides, there's another girsa of other Talmidim that Rabbi Akiva had, not these 5.
Yes, he brings another 5.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying no, it has
Rabbah,
no.
He brings another 5.
No, so if this is Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, but this Reb Shimon Bar Yochai with Lag BaOmer has no shaykhs to this story, as far as I know. I mean, obviously there must be a deeper connection somehow, somewhere, but it's not. Either way,
it's Hilul of the Reb Shimon. It's his yard site.
Correct. But when did
there's no shaykhs to this Maisa?
So the question is, when did it? What? It is a coincidence. Yeah.
How can it be a coincidence?
What? How's it going to be?
Never mind. Keep going.
Yeah. No, but here's the thing. When did they start the Avelis? They didn't. It seems like they didn't start it for hundreds of years, which is a fascinating thing. Because what? The future generations became frummer? Like what? That generation, even Hanukkah, right? In the sugis of Hanukkah, we're not sure exactly when they decided to start, as we call, celebrating the nace of Hanukkah. Certainly wasn't that year.
They had to focus on building back up Klal Yisrael. They weren't making, more.
I'm saying, but you're right. But this was a lot of time because these were Tanoim, right? It doesn't even say that Amoraim established it. Seems like it was established even later than that. Which is, I don't know, I found it fascinating. I would love to look into this and see exactly when it started. But anyway, yeah. So Amar Ramasna, Halach Rabbi Yeshua, we go back to halachas like Rabbi Yeshua, that there is a mitzvah to have more children. Exactly what that mitzvah, how many children, like we said already, we don't know.
So nowadays, what's the din? If we're saying Halach Rabbi Yeshua, how does that affect us nowadays?
Because a person has a chiyuv to have more children.
Would that if you have to, would that make you have to go ahead and be megarish your wife, to go ahead and marry another woman to have more children?
Would you be mechuyev to be megarish your wife?
At a certain point, you can't have children.
No. I don't think you'd be mechuyev to do that. But it's just that one should be continue to have children. One shouldn't stop after the mekayim the mitzvah just pruvavu. Saying that gets into the whole thing, exactly when one should allow birth control, when not, right? After having even kind of mitzvah deraisa, yeah. Anyways, okay, let's see a few more lines because tomorrow's daf is very long. So Amar Rav Tanchum, Amar Rav Chanilai. Yeah, parrots, here starts the Vertlach. Amar Rav Tanchum, Amar Rav Chanilai. Kol Adam she'en lo isha, any person that doesn't have a wife, shari b'loi simcha, that means he's living without happiness. B'loi bracha, without bracha. B'loi toiva, without good. B'loi simcha, how do you know? Dichsiv v'samachta atu v'secha. You and your house should be happy. B'loi bracha, dichsiv lo niach bracha el v'secha. Right? V'secha is obviously referring to the wife. B'loi toiva, dichsiv, like toiva yos adam levadoi. So it's not good for a person to be by himself. Right? So you see that we're not being married, you're missing all these things. But in Marava they said, but like Torah, you're without Torah, but like Chayma, you're without a wall. But like Torah, Dichsiv ha'im ein ezrasi bi v'sashia nidcha mimeni. Right? Is my helper not with me, and is it going to be pushed away? Is Torah going to be pushed away from me? But like Chayma Dichsiv Nekeva to Saivev Gover. The Nekeva, a woman, makes a protective wall around a man, right? Because she protects him from doing Chatoim, which they say that's why they go around. The woman goes around the chassan 7 times because she's creating a wall around the chassan, right? Rabba Bar Ula Amar B'loi Shalom. It's without having peace. Right? And you're going to know that your oil, which we said means your wife, is with peaceful, and you're going to go home and you're going to find no chatoim. Okay, you know what? We'll stop here because that's already a new sugya. All right. Okay, we went a little bit over, but fine. All right, tomorrow's a lot of Agadata about, tomorrow's a big Agadata da Bez Hashem. Fine. All right. Okay. Have a good night.
Wait till next time.
Okay. Good night.
So 8:30 to work.
Well, tonight's a long daf. It's a very long daf. So that's
good night.
Yeah.
Anybody want to come from Arab now?
I think all the boys davened already.
No, guys in the shul. Anyone not that Arab instead of going to shul?
Well,
come
here. If you can pick me up.
I'm not talking about the guys in Phoenix. So, come on.
It's Parrots.
Not in Phoenix.
Parrots, not
wrong. Parrots. I'll pick you up. Who else? Parrots, how many are you?
I mean, I have my other kid here, but he davened already. And my third one should be home too.
Anybody interested in the Arab?
Could you turn off the recording too?